we have any public comments?
Yes, Chair, we have Mr. Kenny Mays.
I'm going to be short because I don't believe the members of this commission really listen. With the state being in a severe drought condition, why are we still building? Where's the water going to come from? California governor recently signed 2 bills into law, SB 606 and AB 1668, aimed at reducing water consumption in the state, even in non-drought conditions. Tonight's council is looking at commission is looking at several consistency zone changes meant to bring the zoning map in compliance with the County of Riverside's general plan of 2003. A map worked on by an individual that couldn't even bother to pay his taxes and was the former owner of one of the existing legal non-conforming mini warehouses. It's time to stop the crazy patchwork of zone changes to conform with a general plan that many in the city have never seen or had any say in it. It's time for the city to open a general plan to being updated by the current residents of Wildomar. Even Riverside County updated their general plan twice, in 2008 and 2015, since this city adopted the 2003 version as its current plan. Stop the nonsense. The city can get millions of dollars for bike lanes, but makes no attempt to seek out funding for this city to have its own general plan worked on locally by current residents and updated on a regular basis. And the last thing to mention, November 1st agenda packet and the minutes are not on the city's website. Why not?
We have Mr. Paul Hayes.
How you doing? Well, after that, my concern is Baxter Village and what's going on with that over off Baxter. I've been to 3 or 4 meetings. That was about 7 years ago. I live in the area.
Go ahead and take my business card that's back there and give me a call next week or tomorrow.
Nobody has any answers on it?
We're not able to respond. It's not on the agenda.
Not on the agenda. Listen to him
But
about the water.
it was approved back in 2015 and they haven't submitted development plans yet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That is all, Chair.
All right.
Still have the ability to use their land as they're currently using it, so I think it would be wise to make a motion.
I would support a motion. Motion to approve PC Resolution 2018-16.
I second.
Roll call vote.
Chairman Lloyd.
Aye.
Chairman Lloyd.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Langworthy.
Aye.
Commissioner Ballard.
Aye.
Motion passes.
4-0. Okay. I'd like to open the public hearing. 2.2 Western Way Consistency Zone Change, PA 18-0056. Michael, before you start, Dan, can you go get Kim? Commissioner Storm. Thanks.
Thank you. Before you, we have the second of 3 zone consistency changes. This is for the Western Way property at 34860 Western Way. The applicant submitted a zone change application requesting a zone change from rural residential to manufacturing service commercial, and this zone change would bring the property in compliance with the light industrial use designation. The project site is located off Western Way and it's north of Baxter Road. As you can see on the left, the land use is light industrial, and on the right, the zoning you can see is rural residential by the tan color. Staff conducted a CEQA review, and they determined that it does not create any new environmental impacts, contain any new features that would affect the original CEQA analysis conducted, and staff also determined that none of the findings exist that warrant an addendum or subsequent EIR. There are existing light industrial land use parcels to the northwest and south. The properties to the south and west are also zoned manufacturing service commercial. Again, this zone consistency change would bring the general plan and zoning into consistency, and the existing use of the site was permitted by the county and is consistent with the manufacturing service commercial zone standards. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution number 2018 that recommends City Council determine no additional environmental review is needed and adopt ordinance approving change of zone 18-0056. Thank you.
Thank you. Would an applicant like to speak on this?
Please. My name is Joseph Volk. I want to thank you for taking my application under review. I do not have any arguments per se. Would like to know if you have any questions for me. Very well. I will leave you to your doings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any community speakers on this?
I do not have any chair.
Anybody that would like to address that hasn't filled out a form?
Yeah, I spoke at the wrong thing. This is the one I wanted to object to, my mistake. My apologies, everybody.
Okay.
I just object because, like, keep it out there, keep it residential. Don't have any more manufacturing in there. Okay?
Then at this point, I'd like to close the public hearing. Commission discussion.
I'd like to thank staff for the report. I'm seeing consistency here, and that moves me to believe this is a good idea moving forward.
I just have a question. Is it, isn't the land currently being used as manufacturing service commercial?
That's correct. So this just brings us up. Has been for quite a long time.
So it just, again, the general plan has always been this way. It's just bringing the zoning in with conformity. There's already a manufacturing service commercial use on the property, and so that's currently what's existing, and okay. And so this would just make it all right. So I'll let others speak, otherwise I would make a motion to approve the, is it recommend? Recommend the approval of a change of zone.
I'll second that.
Get a roll call vote.
Chairman White,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Strong,
Aye.
Commissioner Langworthy,
Aye.
Commissioner Ballard.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5-0.
All right, that brings us to 2.3. At this point, I'd like to open a public hearing on 2.3 Chan Stable Lanes Consistency Zone Change, PA 18-0057.
Good evening, Commissioners and residents of Wildomar. Today we have before you a zone change for PA number 18-0057. The applicant has submitted a zone change request to bring the zoning on their property into conformance with the general plan land use designation. The specific request would be to change the existing zoning designation from rural residential to general commercial, and to bring that parcel into conformance with the commercial retail land use designation. The subject property is a 1.9 1.19 acre site located on the east side of Stable Lanes, 510 feet south of Clinton Keith Road. The site is currently vacant. The current general plan designation as displayed on the left-hand side of the screen is, as you see, commercial retail. All the properties along Stable Lanes, I should say on the north side of Stable Lanes, are commercial retail. On the right-hand side, the zoning map displays this subject property as rural residential. The proposed zone change does not require new CEQA review. The project site has remained vacant since the time of the adoption of General Plan EIR number 441 in 2003 and does not contain any new features that would create environmental impacts beyond what was originally analyzed. In accordance with section 15162 of the CEQA guidelines, no subsequent EIR is needed as the proposed zone change from rural residential to general commercial would bring the property into consistency with the general plan land use designation of commercial retail. The proposed zone change meets all the required findings for approval in that the proposed zone change to general commercial will bring the subject property into consistency with the general plan land use designation of general commercial. Staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2018-18, recommending the City Council take the following actions. Determine no environmental review is needed for Section 15183 of CEQA and adopt ordinance approving the zone change 18-00574 APN 380120-006. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak on this? No? Okay. Are there any community speakers on this?
No, Chair.
All right. Well, then at this point, I will close the public hearing and move to commission discussion.
I mean, it appears that there's commercial all around it. I can't imagine somebody wanting to live in the middle of all that commercial business.
And it brings it up to consistency with our general plan.
Absolutely.
So,
And there's no proposed site, it's just a zoning change, correct?
Yeah, there are no plans to develop at this time from the applicant.
okay. Then, can I get a motion?
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Chairman Lloyd,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Strong,
Aye.
Commissioner Langworthy,
Aye.
Commissioner Ballard.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5-0.
Section 3.0, general business.
And Chairman, again, I'm going to recuse myself from this item as I have a family member that lives close by this project. And I just think it's in the best interest of everybody if I step out.
Very good.
Can I take your coffee?
Okay. 3.1, Store America General Plan Initiation Proposal, PA 18-0049.
Hello, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. This item is our general plan initiation process, and I want to make it clear for you as well as the public that there's no action being taken tonight on this idea for a general plan amendment. This is more of a study session, but we call it our GPIP process, and that allows the applicant to receive public comments from the commission as well as the general public. So the applicant submitted this GPIP as part of the pre-app process. Store America would like to request a general plan amendment for 3 parcels. I'll show you those in a sec. Coming up to about 4.8 acres. The change, the land use would be from the commercial retail designation to business park. GPA is needed to redevelop the site with a new self-storage facility with RV parking. The site has a current zoning designation of C1CP. So this is the site right there on the east side of Mission Trail. This shows the surrounding area of land use, which it has the commercial retail designation. And the zoning on the right is C1CP. So any development of this site to redevelopment would require, the zoning and the general plan to change. And I'll explain in more detail why that is the reason. So as a way of background, the council back in 2012 approved ordinance number 69, which prohibited self-storage facilities in our commercial zones and required a conditional use permit in the industrial zones. So this particular use became a legal non-conforming land use after adoption of ordinance 69. There are also 4 other facilities, and I've had a diagram in the staff report packet that shows where those are. According to our non-conforming code section, it does not allow the alteration, addition, enlargement, or intensification of any non-conforming use or structure. Redevelopment of the site could only occur if the existing facility was damaged by fire, explosion, or acts of God, and that's taken straight from our non-conforming code section. As the applicant has conveyed to staff, the existing self-storage facility is dilapidated and needs redevelopment. So the discussion points as part of this general plan initiation is, would allowing the business park land use designation and MSC zoning at this specific location, which as I noted in the exhibit, surrounded by commercial retail zoning, an appropriate and logical policy decision. That's something that the commission will kind of need to discuss as they forward comments to the applicant and to city council. Does the development of a new storage facility to replace the existing dilapidated facility outweigh possible land use compatibility issues with industrial zoning next to commercial zoning? Thirdly, would supporting a land use change result in a de facto policy decision that could open the door for other legal non-conforming self-storage facilities in the commercial zones to redevelop? And then is the loss of retail zoned land along Mission Trail acceptable to accommodate redevelopment of this site? This is a preliminary design of what the applicant would like to do, and this came about as part of a pre-app review that came in a couple of months ago to the site. So because it is non-conforming, the only way that a new facility could go in is with the general plan amendment. So because it's only allowed with the CUP in the industrial zones. So that's why the applicant, in our discussions with him, the only option was to go through the GPIP process to get the feedback to see whether or not a general plan amendment would be supported as part of an effort to redevelop the site. I will make it clear though that because the site is dilapidated, the zoning allows a multitude of commercial retail uses and office uses. So if in the end the general plan amendment doesn't work out, the applicant still has the ability to redevelop the site. You just wouldn't be able to do it with a self-storage facility because of the prohibition in the commercial zones. This is a street view that shows some of the preliminary architectural elevations. This would be, floor plan showing the different subdivided areas inside the units. So our recommendation tonight is for the commission to take the following action: receive public testimony from the applicant and general public, discuss on land use and planning issues related to the GPA, and forward your comments to the city council for review and consideration, which is tentatively set for July 11th. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to speak?
Good evening. We don't necessarily need to speak. We're here to answer any questions you might have regarding the proposal.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do we have any public speakers?
Yes, Chair, we have Mr. Joseph Morby.
Good evening. Now, usually on these GPIPs that I've seen, it's been on vacant land and usually looking to change to higher densities from either lower or from business parks or other commercial retail, so. And I'd be against those things generally, but this, I mean, it seems like a lateral move. It seems like an improvement versus forcing them to stay with what they already have. So unless there's some serious talk of redeveloping like the whole area from Bundy Canyon to Waite Street in there, I don't see how not approving or helping this out would help. Then I had a couple of questions tangentially on this kind of stuff. So how much would it cost for a whole new general plan and or complete zone consistency project? Two, as specifically as you can you estimate how much time would on such a project or such an endeavor take to complete, both in actual man hours and months, weeks to complete, or weeks, months? So an example, so if it's a $2 million thing to do a general plan, that's 10 people working full-time at 40 hours a week at $200,000. I'm thinking that would, so I'd like to know what the breakdown would be. You might not be able to do that here, that's fine. Anyway, so the third one is, and why would it cost that much? Because obviously people have questions and they're confused and it's been brought up. Thanks.
Thank you.
That is all, Chair.
I'll go ahead and respond as best as I can. And the cost of a general plan, comprehensive general plan update varies. I can't give you or the public an exact figure, but it can go anywhere from $200,000 to $2 million. Just depends on the scope of what needs to be done. You could research other cities and see what they've done in the recent past. Zoning consistency, same thing, just depends on the scope of the work. The reason why general plans cost so much, there's a lot of public outreach, a lot of consultant time, you have the environmental documents that have to be done, and length of time can be anywhere from 12 to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Worked in the city of Pomona, it took 10 years to get their last general plan update. So that's about as much as I can say without any specific project or anything.
Thank you. And we're at commission discussion.
Well, thank you, Matt, and I agree that you don't really know how much a project is gonna cost, how long it's gonna take until you get involved in it, and I do see there is a need and it's something we should explore, but in the meantime, I thank the public for the comments.
Regarding the project, personally, I'm kind of on the wall because I can recognize the need to upgrade the existing site because it is in very poor shape. Though by doing this, it doesn't match with our general plan. On the other side of that, it's not that far out for the use that's going on. So it's very difficult. I recognize the benefits of both sides of this. Definitely, before I would support it, I'd want to see a full design, a full layout design, architectural spaces, all of it. But I don't know that I can totally support it yet.
Well, looking at this, that the ordinance number 69 that was adopted by the City Council in July 2012 that restricted many warehouse self-storage facilities to the city's industrial zones via CUP. I believe we still have the majority of the City Council are the same people. So I think that I would be very surprised because they're typically very consistent in their decision-making. So to consider a change from a position they've taken would be not typical. You know, there is the opportunity to do maintenance on the existing use, or also the opportunity to change, you know, if you're talking about tearing everything down and rebuilding, there's the opportunity to put in something that is consistent with the general plan too. So there's options available.
I'm on the fence on this one as well. I know the property, I drive past it. I see the need for something different, but I also know that our city has a lot of projects for storage units in the queue. And I feel like we're kind of becoming the land of storage units. But it's already existing, so there's already a clientele, so it's a tough one.
Chair, maybe the applicant could come up and kind of explain what his master plan is to redevelop this, how that'll affect all the existing tenants that are leasing space from him and so on. That might help in your discussion.
That would be good. Would the applicant like to come up?
Yes, currently the property's about 80% occupied, and what we've proposed is to do a phased building plan and allow for some demolition of the existing facility, rebuilding of what we'll call phase 1 or phase A, and construct storage in order to move the balance of our customers into the new storage and then complete phase 2. We're actually proposing 3 phases in order to accomplish all that. The aesthetics that were shown are more retail store oriented to the frontage on Mission Trail. To kind of keep in more of a retail type of look. I'm not sure if that helps with the explanation at all, or?
Your 3 phases, would they be one immediately following the next or spanned out over a long period of time?
No, consecutive.
So it's more for just adjusting for your customer base.
Exactly. We like to keep as much of our customer base as possible.
Okay.
It was hard to tell from your renderings here, but it says that you have RV access as well, or RV storage, and I didn't really see.
Yeah, if you in the center of the property, basically we've put buildings on the perimeter and a drive aisle, 2 drive aisles that are going in the direction of west to east, and in the center would be RV parking. So the RV parking would be shielded by the front office building and then both storage buildings on the north and the south.
And you don't currently have RV storage on the property, correct?
We do have RVs.
Oh, you do? Okay.
To the right-hand side.
If I can just clarify, it's the existing storage facility is on a separate side from where the RV parking is. So the RV parking is on 2 of the other parcels, not where Stan's old storage facility exists. So what they're doing is expanding to 2 or 3 other parcels to accommodate the master plan of those units.
So you already have storage there, RVs, you're looking to grow, right?
I think technically it's growing a little bit, but we're combining the parcels.
Okay.
Right now the storage is predominantly on the north parcels, and the RV is open to the south parcels.
You make it all one. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
So looking at the illustration that now go back to the one that was there, just there, yes, that one. So currently there's storage along Mission Trail, and then at the back side of the property is the RV storage. And so you're looking at just reconfiguring and adding in more overall storage and security, or?
Security, definitely. The RV storage is located more where you see building 1 and phase 1. That's where it is existing now. And in addition, we lease property that is south of what's being shown as building 3. So all the RV storage currently are in those areas. We would be giving up the leased land that we have now and enclosing the property from a security standpoint. The buildings would act as security, and the wall on the east side would act as security for storage and for RV.
Chair, if I might, I'm going to go back to the overhead. You can see exactly what. So you see the star, there's that blue line that surrounds the whole proposed site. The storage is those white squares. The RV parking was not part of the original self-storage facility. That's on a different site. I'm not sure when the applicant purchased this, but the warehouse is kind of L-shaped with that little right turn at the back. So then the site now would be totally redone. The RV parking that's there, I don't even know if it's even permitted. We have no permits for that. I don't know if it's a code violation. On that property, it was never part of Stan's property mini warehouse facility. So, but the proposal would be to take those 3 parcels and combine them into one to do this project if, you know, there's enough support from commission and council to do an industrial general plan amendment in the middle of the commercial retail category area.
Yeah, again, the original ordinance about limiting to the light industrial area, most of the current council members were seated at the time that decision was made. So it really does go to the council for decision, and so that's kind of.
Well, seeing there's already storage right there, and there's RVs there, and they're trying to make it one cohesive spot that is gonna have a fresh look to it, I'm actually in favor.
I do like, excuse me, I do like the layout, but I'm not sure that it really fits in with the city council's general plan and what they have identified. So again, it's really up to them. So I would have to say I'm not sure at this point.
Yeah, the only other comment is the facade is we're just looking for something that is more rustic looking, even on commercial, and we're leaning towards the Baxter Crossing, is that the development at Baxter Village, and also the barn at Palomar and Clinton Keith. Those are 2 of the developments that the facades are kind of more of a Wildomar feel instead of feeling like you're in Murrieta or Lake Elsinore. So we're really hoping to have some good design
I
happening.
think something called the New Age Craftsman or something.
No.
Can I still speak, or? Yeah, the layout that was shown on the overhead is somewhat of a template that we've used for single-story storage. The facades for the office vary from, you know, retail-oriented, modern to, you know, it can be. I don't think that's the, you know, major stumbling block. This is the retail look that was picked. So I think the flow and the, you know, the function of the facility is what's key for us. So.
Yeah, and I think that for what it is, it's a very good plan, but as to whether it should be in that location in the city is the big question mark. So that's what the council will, you know, would be able to address that. So.
So in conclusion, I mean, we'll forward these comments on to the city council. I just want to reiterate that the only way to do this is to change the general plan to industrial. For some reason, the self-storage facility idea doesn't work, then you're going to have an industrial land use designation that could have manufacturing business on it. With residential to the east, commercial retail to the north and south. So I think, I mean, keep in mind the vision is not just we're getting rid of a dilapidated use and buildings and putting up new ones. You're having a land use that we're going to be living with for a long time, if that is supported. Now, we'll have to go through the full general plan amendment, zone change process, CUP process, as well as the CEQA environmental review, and that'll be up to the applicant to decide if they want to do that after, they hear the comments from the city council and taking into consideration what the commission has conveyed tonight.
To make a firm decision one way or the other at this point, I would say no.
I would just wonder if you have any other vision for this property that would be within the general plan.
I don't think we've given that much consideration. We are in the storage business.
So it's good to diversify.
We're,
I appreciate your open-mindedness.
I see that they're certainly being used as storage, part of the property, so we're just kind of adding to that, dressing up the facade. So in that respect, I am in favor. However, what our planning director said is interesting. If this doesn't move forward, we have a new way of zoning that parcel, and we don't change, we're stuck with that. So we want to really think it through.
Yep. Do you have enough data?
I do.
Thank you very much.
So we'll take your comments and prepare a staff report, council review at their next meeting in July.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Do we bring back Michelle? Michelle's here. You didn't run away, very good. You didn't run away.
No,
All right. Do we have any planning communications? No?
Your communications.
My communications.
Planning commission communications.
No. Have a planning director report?
We do. I have just one comment I want to make during the public comments about our general plan. The general plan that we do have was done in 2003, but that land use map was done in 2007, before incorporation. So we always get confused with the general plan, but the general plan has 7 elements. The land use map is just, of the land use element is one of those elements. So that map had big roundtable discussion prior to incorporation, and the map that we have today is not what was done in 2003 with the body of the general plan. So I just want to clarify that. And then just to let you know that our July 4th meeting will be canceled because of the holiday, but we'll have a special meeting on July 18th, which will bring forth several applications for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I would like to say then, happy summer, happy 4th of July in advance, because we'll be meeting right in the middle of summer by the time we get together again.
Oh, it's too true. Happy 4th of July. Do we have a city attorney report?
No report this evening.
Thank you. Does anyone have any future agenda items that they'd like to put in? No? Then we will adjourn.
Before we do that, I I would like to just comment on future agenda items.
Okay.
One of the things that this commission has asked me to do to bring to council in the past are commercial design guidelines.
Design,
So we are bringing a decision package at next week's meeting to council to prepare some commercial design guidelines. So just want to let you know that we've listened to you. It's taken a while, but it's going to be on our agenda to make a decision during the meeting next week.
That's great news.
Thank you very much.
fabulous.
Very good. Safe? And we'll adjourn at 7:18.